He's a renowned medical practitioner, a consultant, and a mental health physician. We will have this conversation together today, talking about bullying and mental health. You can, of course, as well join this conversation from anywhere all over the world. All you need to do is watch us live on Facebook, where you would have the opportunity to see how this broadcast is going on with us here in the studio. Log on to our Facebook page, IKD1061FM, to watch us live. You can also listen to us via our website, www.ikd1061fm.ng. That is ikd1061fm.ng. My name is Opeyemi Adebambo, and of course with me in the studio I already have my guest, a consultant and a mental health practitioner, a physician in person of Dr. Adesoji Gbadebo. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Adebambo. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming around.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
And you're looking as smart as always.
Yeah, we try. We try.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adesoji. So today we want to talk about this bullying of a thing and mental health. But then to start off the conversation, let's have a grounded background to this conversation. What is the relationship with when we say bullying and the mental health?
Okay, so thank you very much. I listened to you when you were in your intro and you were talking about the fact that this is something that happens with children and with teenagers and adolescents. So let me tell you two stories to at least give a background. So Harry and Meghan left England because Harry said they were bullied. They were bullied by the media, which led to a miscarriage and led to his wife having suicidal thoughts, and she actually tried to kill herself once. And for me, that was the first story. Then the second one was the fact that I think it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, a young 16-year-old was killed in a bus in the UK because the boyfriend of our friend was trying to get the friend to take him back, and she stood in between them, and then he basically killed her, stabbed her to death. And there was now the story that this had been happening for months, that he had been trying to get back with the girl and had been bullying her and trying to get in touch. So for me, bullying is something that starts in childhood, but it affects every age group because it's about, like you said, it's about control, it's about power. Where one person feels, I am stronger than you, so I am going to intimidate you and make you feel less than. So how does that affect your mental health? Definitely, we know that mental health is a state of how well you're able to cope with stress, and there's nothing as stressful as bullying, honestly. We will get into the types, but I cannot count the number of people who say they had to switch off their social media handles because they were being trolled or being bullied by other people who just felt, look, well, why are you big? Why are you a celebrity? I need to get your attention. So Gary Vaynerchuk is a media expert, and he keeps talking about the fact that everybody is craving attention, and that when you don't give them the attention they need, they will come for you and bully you. So I think it was a celebrity, it was an actress in Nigeria was saying, somebody posted on our Instagram post and said, hi, beautiful. She didn't answer. Then he said, oh, how are you? You look so fine. She didn't answer. Then like, the person said, you must be a stupid goat. And then she replied, the person, why are you calling me a stupid goat? I said, that was the attention the person wanted. And that was a form of bullying. And how it affects your mental health is that it affects every part of your mental health. You will be stressed. You will be unable to be productive. You will be unable to self-actualize. And if it becomes severe enough, you will eventually be unable to contribute to community, which are the 4 parts that determine your mental health.
We would also definitely talk about the community as well, and the role that the community also play when you talk about bullying, because we cannot take away the importance of the community to when bullying happens. It happens in our community definitely too. And just like you have rightly said, we would also take a look at some of the types of bullying. People are not also aware that there are types of bullying. It is just believed that bullying is bullying, and that is it. But then I want to ask, with your wealth of knowledge as a medical practitioner, why do you think people bully one another? Why do we have bullying? What is the cause of bullying?
Okay, so we like to do, when we talk about traits or the reasons why certain things happen. Now, it does not mean that everybody that has this experience is going to become turned into a bully. But what we found is that, one, it runs in families.
Okay.
Which is that people with antisocial personality, which is a personality disorder where the person has issues with authority figures, they tend to become bullies of their peers, and even sometimes of people that are above them, if those people are not strong enough. So we know it runs in families. Then, of course, the most important one is modeling. When a child grows up in a house where a person, a father usually, gets away with bullying, and there are no repercussions, no consequences, what you're basically telling the person is, this is acceptable behavior, and it is the only way to live. So in fact, they say that in Nigeria we have a culture of anyhowness, where a person does bad things, gets praised or hailed, does not suffer consequences, and people are observing and they are saying, okay, so this is what is acceptable here. And so we know that it runs in families. We know that people model it, people learn from it, and then of course it's also the society. The society is, we Yorubas have a saying that enitoba yokunika gbadefun, and we tend to, I won't say deify, but we tend to treat bullies as big people. We tend to treat them as important members of society, when actually they should be people we should say, look, this is not the acceptable behavior. This is not part of our culture, and we do not accept it. So there are biological reasons, personality disorders, like we said, and then of course there's also this issue of low self-esteem. Quite a number of bullies have psychological problems themselves, and instead of turning inwards and finding the solution, they express it on the outward and harass other people to make themselves feel well. I know someone who was failing in school, and because he kept failing and he kept getting called Olodo Rabata and all those sort of stuff. So he would get the smallest person in class who joined in the chorus and beat the person. And he would say, I would feel better because I know I was not as smart, I was not as intelligent, but at least I made him cry.
That makes him feel good.
So that makes me feel good because it means that I'm getting my own back at them. So it's like I said, a lot of factors contribute to it, and these factors, when you have enough of them in a particular person, they turn into a bully.
Okay, if you're listening today, we're talking about bullying and mental health. We will get to that part where we would understand how dangerous this could be to our health. Some of us do not even know that some of these actions has its negative effect on those people we are doing. It graduates. You think you've ended it there, but then it sticks to their head, and then this becomes a way of life for them, and gradually the abnormal becomes normal in their lives. So now, talking about this bullying and the mental health, there are two things entirely. Mental health on its own, on several occasions you've done well to help us understand mental health. Mental health now, for those that are listening and might want to know, how do we describe the mental health? Who is a man that we can say that, okay, you're mentally stable, you're mentally okay, and you're fine?
Okay, so we say a person has excellent mental health when the person feels well in their emotions, in their thinking, in their will, and this is expressed in how they manage stress, how productive they are, how well they self-actualize, and how they contribute to their society. So we say mental health is not a label. Okay. It's a state. It's a measurement of state. So for instance, my mental health before I got to the studio was a little down because I was rushing. I was a little late. So I was rushing down, and it was that I had to get here before at a certain time because I left somewhere late. So here's the thing. Your ability to cope with the stresses of life is a function of your mental health. So when you see people break down because of the fact that they lost a job or they lost somebody close to them, it is not that they were weak. It was that their mental health at that point in time, like we said, it's like measuring your phone's battery. If your phone is at 30%, it goes into low power mode. There are certain things it will not do as well.
Exactly.
So if you don't measure your mental health, you don't know how well you're doing, something is going to hit you and you will be unprepared. Like Mike Tyson said, the punch that knocks you down is not the hardest punch, it's the punch you were not expecting. The one you did not think would come, and it knocks you out and you're down and you lose your world title. So we're saying that mental health is a state you have to measure, and if you measure your mental health, you should be able to measure your mental health every day at the end of the day and say, have I done well today in coping with stress? Have I done well with being productive? Have I done well with self-actualizing, doing what I was brought here to do, and have I contributed to my community? If you have not done any of these 4 things well, your mental health is not good enough, and you need to do something about it to repair and make it better.
So let's, before we talk about the types of bullying now, let's talk about, I think I'm interested, I like the fact that you're saying how to measure your mental health, a daily thing. How best can we do that? You know, for those that are listening right now, I want to measure my mental health for today, maybe later towards the evening or at night. How do I do that? How am I sure that I'm striking a balance?
So there are objective assessments that you can use. There's a thing called a PHQ-9. It's just a set of 9 questions, and it's on Google, and you can find it. But what I tell people to do is just ask yourself throughout today, how did I handle stress? Okay, did you shout? Did you get angry? Did you get upset? Did you get very irritable throughout the day? So most Danfo drivers don't have good mental health, and we understand because they always fight.
Always shouting.
Always shouting. Then number 2 is that you measure how productive. And we're not saying motion is not what we're measuring. It's movement. So if you were supposed to see, okay, you're supposed to do a show, 4 shows today, and you did all 4 shows excellently, based not on your own measuring yourself, but other people say, oh, it was a good feedback from people, then you say, that was a productive day. Then you measure self-actualization. Is this what I was born to do, or am I just surviving till I get to where I'm going? Alright, so if you say, okay, yes, we did something, we are self-actualizing. So for me sitting down here, I was at a private school yesterday where we went to do this anti-bullying campaign. And for me, the last part of the section when I was talking to those young people, and I was talking to them not as this big man who came from outside, but as someone who had gone through the experience. And you know, those guys stood up and they were like almost going to give me a standing ovation. And honestly, that was the most valuable thing I did yesterday, because that's what I was designed for. And then the 4th thing is, did you contribute to your community? Did you make your community better? So if you do those 4 things, ask those 4 questions, you can measure. So that if you did not do well today, you know that, oh, there are certain things I need to do between now and tomorrow to make my tomorrow better. So for instance, you have to sleep early. If you've not been sleeping well, that is going to affect you. You have to eat breakfast like a king, not like a pauper. Most people don't eat breakfast in Nigeria. They say, last, and everybody can stop breakfast. But we don't eat breakfast. And then, of course, is that you also have to stay in environments that make you better. Be friends with people who add to you just as much as they get from you. When you talk to a friend of yours and the conversation ends and you feel drained,
no positive energy,
that's not a friend. You need to rearrange your list. And so we're saying there are things you can do to care and improve your mental health, but the thing is that most people don't even measure. So they don't know. So when something happens and they break down and everybody's like, must have been village people. And I know it wasn't just in a good state of health to handle it.
Okay, so if you're listening, you can be a part of this conversation. Online, we are live on Facebook, IKD1061FM, and of course on WhatsApp and text messages 0904082161. The studio lines to call in are still very much same. That is 0904081161. Now, Dr. Adesoji, one of our followers who likes to be sure, a curious one, I must tell you, on WhatsApp while we were doing publicity of this program, the first question she asked and that she wants to know about is that she's saying that could there be cases where one would be the one bullying his or herself, that is bullying something that they always do to you all the time? Are there cases of that? I am the one even bullying myself. Like, am I the one doing myself?
Okay, well, let me say this, that self-talk is very important.
Okay.
And honestly, some people, their self-talk should not be aired in public. Nobody should ever hear you talk to yourself, because sometimes you're your worst critic, you're your worst analyst. The feedback you give yourself is always negative. So that can constitute verbal bullying, but bullying in the context is always what you do to other people. But some people's self-talk is very negative. They never see anything positive about whatever they do. They never give themselves kudos. They never even celebrate themselves because they think, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not done well enough. And that might be a pointer to something deeper. So quite a number of people, when I hear a person that is very negative towards other people, the first thing I say is not, oh, what's wrong with him with regards to other people. The first thing I ask is, what's the conversation inside? There's something definitely wrong, because they say out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if this is what you are saying from your mouth, that means like times 10 is
so
what is inside
more,
of you. And that's a dangerous person. Because what that means is that you can't give good things to other people because you feel so bad about yourself. So quite a number of these people, I pity them, but the truth is sometimes you just have to, like Wizkid said, bad energy, stay far away. Okay, man.
Even Wizkid himself is for now he has retired from music actually. So he also said he's going off music because of bad energy. So that is understandable. But we hope that Wizkid comes back to the industry soon. That is just by the side. So let's look at some of the types of bullying.
Okay.
It's important for us to know the types of bullying and how they work actually.
Okay, so the first one, which is the commonest one, is physical bullying, where somebody uses physical acts like hitting, kicking, pushing, or damaging someone's property in order to get at the person. I don't know if you saw this video that was on Twitter X, that of a woman who destroyed her husband's television, their television actually. She actually destroyed it, and she was saying, yes, I've gotten at you, that will pain you. That's physical bullying, which is that you're not physically touching the person, but you're destroying their property in order to make them feel pain. All right, then the commonest one is actually verbal bullying, where you use words to belittle, to insult. This one is very common, but most people don't think it's bullying, where you are teasing the person. It's funny, but it's hurtful. So I come from a family where all my mother's sisters, in fact plus my mother, had a habit of giving all their children, their nieces, their nephews nicknames. And some of those nicknames were horrible nicknames. But we would laugh. We would all laugh. In fact, my aunt was calling my youngest sister by a name that I know my sister hates. But when she called that name, we started laughing because it brings back memories. But quite a number of people tease other people, but it's hurtful. And they know it's hurtful. That's bullying. That's verbal bullying. And then you use your words to humiliate someone. That's verbal. And it can include name calling, like we said. Then number 3 is relational bullying or social bullying, which involves manipulating social relationships to harm someone. So things like gossip. All right. So, did you know that this person slept with this person? Apropos business. And that can spread like wildfire. And sometimes it's false. Sometimes it's even half truth, where you saw something but it was not complete, you didn't know the context, but you've sent it out. So, but it's done to exclude another person from a social group, and it's very horrible, and the person feels bad. And then the more common ones these days is cyberbullying, where it takes place online through social media platforms, and it includes spreading rumors, sharing embarrassing photos or videos, or sending even threatening messages. So I don't know who it was. Someone said, I'm trying to remember the story. She said something, and then next thing she started getting death threats from people who said, who do you think you are? Why are you trying to make this person? Or when FC and 30PG have a fight on Twitter, and people start sending death threats to themselves, and you're like, seriously? Over people who are supposed to be friends? And you're like, so cyberbullying is becoming worse because people, they call it the power of anonymity. You use a fake handle, a handle that nobody can trace to you, and you say horrible things about a person just to make the person feel bad. And quite a number of young people also do this, where you carry gist about your friends and you spread it in WhatsApp groups where that friend is not in, and then the people now start saying, oh, is it true? Did you hear this person did this? And so cyberbullying has become more prominent. So like I said, when in a school yesterday, and somebody was talking about the fact that, okay, she's being bullied by this person, but the person has threatened to kill her.
Wow.
So if she ever tells anyone, and I'm like, that's the power of the bully, which is that secrecy is the reason why they think, oh, if I keep it secret and don't let people know what this person is doing, that's the power of the bully. And I said, no matter what happens, the first thing you do is tell someone. You must tell people because that's the power they have. So those are the 4 main types. So there are different ones that come under bias bullying and other kinds, but it's just more like social bullying.
So those of you that are listening, you've heard of the types of bullying: physical bullying, verbal bullying, relational or social bullying as well as cyberbullying. And trust me, this cyberbullying is another thing right now, especially in this part of the world. It is becoming so unbecoming. Now, there are two kinds of people involved in this bullying. The person you're bullying and the person who is bullying someone. Now, let's talk about those that are being bullied. How best can people like that survive? How best can people like that snap out of that act? Because it affects the mental health, and that is what we're talking about. In case you don't know, if you're listening, I should let you know also that SGBV week is on. It's even more than a week. I think it's a 16-day thing.
Yeah.
And that is one of the essence why we have this conversation. That is gender-based violence. Bullying is one of these things that needs to be talked upon, that we are doing currently now. When you bully someone, that person is in a different state of mind. You are bullying someone as well too. You are also in another state of mind. These two people, how best can they survive? For those that are doing it, how can they stop this? Because according to your words, you said some are even hereditary.
Yep.
They met it from daddy and mommy, and they are also doing it. They see it as normal. Let's talk about those people, and let's also talk about those that are being bullied.
Okay, so let's start with the person that is being bullied, who's the victim of this. So let me share a small story. So JS1, I was in a school in Borno State, and we committed an offense. There were like 8 of us. We were reported to the principal, and all 8 of us said we didn't do it. Of course, which is the proper code. The code, because we're in boarding house, we are not supposed to tell the truth. So eventually, pressure was applied, and I think I was the only one in JS1 among the group. No, 2 of us were in JS1, and I was the one that told the principal we did cross, but that one person that was in the group did not cross. So they suspended all the other 6, left me and the other guy, and for a whole term, I was called a snitch, different names, and that was what I had to go throughout JS1.
Just because you went through a different route.
Just because I chose to tell the truth. Now there were 2 things that helped me in that situation. One was the fact that the people who got suspended told me I did the right thing, that they just couldn't say the truth at that moment in time because they thought the thing would blow over. But that I did the right thing. So one, I reminded myself that no matter what happens, no matter what anybody says, the guys that got suspended don't hate me and they don't have issues with me. But of course, the other thing I had to do was I had to get into my inner circle. So I had a group of guys, like my friends, who just kept telling me positive things about myself and just didn't make me feel like, oh, I'm a snitch, I'm a bad person. Right? So what I would tell the person that is being bullied is, one, like we said, secrecy is the power the bully has. So someone has your nudes, for instance, and the person keeps threatening you and tells you to drop money. And that happens a lot. And so secrecy is what the power that they have. You don't want your nudes being told to the whole world. So the first thing to do is to talk to someone. Talk to someone you trust. So in the school yesterday, some of the students were like, no, sometimes even the teachers are the bullies. They're the ones threatening us. And of course, we had to agree with the school that, yes, these children can be manipulative where, they say Gen Z are bad. You see that generation that's coming after them, Alpha. Those boys are something else. Just wait for them. So that if a teacher punishes you, that's not bullying because you did something wrong, right? But that if we all could agree that we have to have a safe space where people can talk about who is bullying them and that there are no repercussions to the person who's reporting, then it makes it easier to talk about it. Then the second thing, of course, is that to get help. So because sometimes bullying affects your self-esteem, it affects your confidence, it increases the risk of anxiety, depression, your feelings of isolation. You feel, oh, I'm the only one going through this, and that can be very bad. And so what I would say is get help. Get help from talking to your parents if they can understand, and if they're not the ones bullying you, and then get help from people around you, church, imams, and talk. And then if the symptoms are still severe, then I would say come see us at General Hospital Ikorodu, because it's not everything that is medication. Because sometimes you just need to let people see perspective. So because somebody goes, oh, I am being bullied because of my change in religion, or I'm being bullied because of my gender, like you were talking about, gender-based violence. And the truth is, I saw a 14-year-old who was raped by someone in the house, somebody they knew. And the mother said, don't report, don't tell anybody, because that shame is going to live with our family for the rest of our lives. And I had to counsel the mother that tell the world or tell the police, this girl is going to feel, because she was already feeling guilty that there was something she did not do that caused a person who was a family friend to rape her. And I said, two things you must not forget. This is not your fault. That oppressor, the predator that did this, is the one that is at fault. And that two, the fact that this happened to you does not define the rest of your life. Because there is no one that is going to say, oh, because you were sexually assaulted, that means you're going to be a prostitute for the rest of your life. There's no such thing. So what I would say is, like I said, be open, talk to people, get help. And the help can include counseling, talking to a religious person, and then if you see that the symptoms are still very severe, then you can come talk to us. Now, for the bully, quite a number of bullies were bullied themselves. So for instance, there's a joke in my family that if you don't want to hear the bitter truth, don't talk to an Adesoji man. You don't. Because
if you don't want to hear the bitter truth,
don't talk to us. We don't know how to sugarcoat the truth. And it comes from my great-grandfather. And so, because of that, it meant that we were all bullied at one point. And we were bullying other people as well. So the first thing to recognize is to recognize your pattern. Recognize that, okay, so what I had to do was, I had to be very conscious of the words I say to my son. Because children learn from what they see. Not what, because I have a 6-year-old that thinks she's like 16 years old. And every time she sees me, she goes, Daddy, you don't say sorry. And I'm like, what do you mean I don't say sorry? You don't say sorry to me. I said, what did you do that I did not say sorry? You made me stop watching my tablets because I did not do so. I'm like, that's not harassment. So, but basically I'm saying that your children are watching you. So if you don't want to pass this on to your children, please stop it. And then sometimes the bully does not see from the perspective of the person. You just think, oh, I'm upset, I'm angry, I have to lash out at someone. And you lash out at this person, but this thing is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. There are people that have taken their lives, have died by suicide because of certain things that were said. So there was one thread on X, like 2 or 3 years ago, of a boy who was falsely accused of raping a girl, only to find out that it was not true. But the guy had already died. You know the shocker? 3 years after, the friends of the girl now said the guy did not really die. That it was all just for show, cloud chasing. And the cousins of the boy had to bring up evidence that he actually died. So you can imagine how painful that experience was. And so quite a number of people don't see from the perspective of the victim. You don't see it. You don't get it. And here's the thing I'll also tell bullies, that if you bully people, you can never feel better. You may think for a shocking moment. I mean, somebody was saying that you see all these e-trolls, cyber trolls, that they see the same person that they are shouting and abusing, and then they start hailing them, hey, my superstar, when they see them face to face. Because you really can't say these things in front of them. And for me, that's the cowardly way. If I cannot say it in front of you, I won't say it behind your back. That's how I think. And then, of course, some people need to unlearn, because you've been raised in a family where using bitter words was the way we get back at each other. And so you have to unlearn it. So it means you might have to talk to a counselor, you might have to talk to a therapist. And then if it's a personality disorder, like I was saying at the beginning, some people are antisocial. They have issues with authority figures, they break the law, they injure other people just to make themselves feel good. Sometimes you might need medications because it's that bad. Because if it doesn't, the consequences are always horrible for the bully. Because most bullies think, oh, I'll just get away with it and I'll be fine. But the truth is, there are consequences. There will always be.
Let us look at how terrible, how dangerous bullying might be to the mental health. And now the essence of the conversation talking about bullying and mental health is because this thing is bad. Bullying is bad. There is no other name for it. Bad is bad. People do it ignorantly. Some will even tell you that, am I not just calling him those names? I don't want to use those words on radio. And they don't even know how terrible these things mean. They don't know that these things sometimes might remain in the minds of those people like forever. It has brought about depression. It has brought about suicide and all of that. So mental wise and our state of health, how terrible, how deadly, how dangerous is bullying?
But let me say this, that I think of all the stressors that people have that can trigger mental health issues, I think bullying might be top 3.
Wow.
And people don't see it because they just feel, oh, it's just a few words I said. So there's something I told my parents. I said, my mother beat me more than my father ever did over the course of my childhood. But there are statements my father said to me at 7 that I cannot forget. I've been trying to erase or format my hard drive of my memory, but some of them I can't. And so you need to understand that these things are, they said words are things. People think, oh, words are just words. Words are not just words. Words are things. So there are people who claim that they cannot, you hear someone go, oh, I shut off my comment section because I can't read excuse me, some of the vile things that people say. And these words, you think, oh, we're just trolling, we're just dragging the person. It's all fun. These words sometimes are trigger words that remind the person of an insecurity that they had forgotten. So for instance, someone had weight issues growing up as a child. Now all of a sudden you say, you look fat in that outfit. And you just think, oh, it's just okay. Well, other people look fat. But this person has dealt with anorexia, you did not know. Dealt with low self-esteem, you didn't know. And now all of a sudden you said things that trigger back to our past. And so now she's having to ask herself, do I really look fat? Am I fat? So people shout that, oh, the number of BBL or body surgeries, body enhancements we're seeing these days is too severe. It's because you people keep telling them that and you're telling these people you are to be ashamed of your body. So the minute you do that, and these people now say, okay, this is what they want, Abi, I'm going to go under the knife, pay serious money to look like the image these people want me to look only like. For the same people to now say, your surgeon did not do a good job, your bone is like this, it's lopsided,
stand straight.
This stands straight. Is it steroids that they put inside? And for me, of course, from both sides. For the victim, I will tell the victim, look, you cannot allow people to dictate your life because they will never stop talking. I think it was Johnny Walker that said that the world would always make room for the person who knows where he's going, because the same people who are abusing you today will come tomorrow and start to praise you if you succeed. At the end of the day, all that people care about is success.
Exactly.
And so you have to develop what we call a thick skin. If you need to take breaks of social media, I would definitely recommend it. Because there are certain, it's definitely been proven. I think the guys who formed Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg said that a research actually showed that if you use social media beyond a certain number of hours, it becomes destructive to your mental health. It raises anxiety, it raises depression, it raises addiction issues, it raises triggers, and it raises stress. So the thing is, these things were not meant to be consumed for too long, and so people need to learn how to detach. So I have an app on my phone that if I use, because let me be honest, I'm addicted to Twitter. X. I love the fights. The dragging.
The tables are always shaking.
Oh, we break tables. So we do political Twitter, then we do football Twitter. Then I don't get into that music Twitter because those are crazy, as far as I'm concerned. But you get all these fights, and after a while, I finished 4 hours on Twitter, and I'm drained. And it's like somebody, like Jesus said, they do virtue out of you. And I'm like, seriously? So I had to actually put a timer so the app goes off on my phone after a certain number of hours. There are different things you need to do to help yourself. So that's the reason why I say, for your mental health, being a bully or being bullied is bad. Both sides. And you need to stop the cycle. So if a person is a bully in your life, I mean, if it's your parent, there's no way you're going to be able to leave the house, but there are certain things you need to let people know. So for instance, one of the questions we got was, I don't know who it was, whether it was a boy or a girl, but she said she was being sexually assaulted by her parent. So, and I had to let her know, and that she had been threatened, of course, that if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. Wow. So we had to let them know that, look, one, there is a agency in Lagos today, the Domestic Sexual Violence Agency, is a zero tolerance place, and that, look, if you have someone who is sexually assaulting you, tell the world, not go and broadcast it on Facebook. I'm saying tell the agency, get a message out so that it can stop. Because here's my problem. If you allow sexual assault to continue, it affects you, the victim, and you're going to pass it on to your children. Because that's the cycle. If you've been sexually assaulted, there are two ways. You either become overly protective of your children and they lose confidence and low self-esteem, or you become overly lax where you just allow them run free and they're going to be assaulted as well. So that's where you hear of a 25-year-old grandmother. I saw that when I was working many years ago in Ajegunle. 14 got pregnant, by 13 her daughter was pregnant.
25-year-old grandmother.
27-year-old. 27-year-old grandmother. Grandmother. And I'm like, that cycle has to end. But we're saying that when she was being sexually assaulted, she didn't tell anybody. She just got pregnant. And so she gives birth, and her daughter grows up in the same environment and gets sexually assaulted at 13 and pregnant.
Wow.
So when she came, you could tell that this was I can't call her a parent. I just call her, she donated egg and dropped the baby. That's all. Because she was being parented by her own mother, who was like a great grandmother, who was basically parenting 3 generations in the same house.
Wow. So
we're saying all because someone got sexually assaulted and did not say anything.
But I hope she got into the Guinness Book of Record because this is supposed to be a big record.
Guinness does not record that
one. So we will go to the phone lines. We would allow some calls to come in on 0904081161 or 0904082161. Today on the issues, we have our focus on bullying and mental health. Let's take the first call from here. Hello to you. Good morning to you, Mr. Larry. Good morning.
Good morning.
You spoke quite lengthy, but I have a question and I have a contribution.
Please go ahead.
See, cyberbullying goes beyond outside of. I'm talking seriously now on the aspect of a child.
Okay.
Or children.
Okay.
Cyberbullying, the bullying go beyond what is the outside. So the life of a children, also the life of the life of a wife or a husband, it actually tells on them that they've called me names. So let me I know that I can't amount to anything because they've been calling me a series of names. So it plays a chapter road on them. The question I have for the doctor is this: in a situation whereby parents are bullying their children verbally, how do a child or children goes out of this? Let me give you a age. Let's say children between 5, 6, 7 before the adolescent age.
Okay.
A father calling them series of things, calling them of manners. Your feet are coming first. You are 31st in the class. You are worthless. I will not be your student anymore. All those sorts of things. How can such child or children goes out of this?
Okay.
Doctor, before you go.
Yes.
The last time you came here, I forgot to even welcome you back to the station. I said, your English most times I get it too much. Some of us no good.
No vex. They're not good.
You said some English and you are talking to everybody out there.
No vex.
Just the evidence to be a part of your English.
No, we've told Mr. Payemi to let us do a pidgin version. I've told him, idea house. No shaking. Idea house.
Thank you very much.
Nothing do you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Larry. Unfortunately, Mr. Larry does not know that you are a man of all circle. If you want the pidgin version, you get it.
Yes.
If you want the Yoruba version, you would also still get it. But going down to his question, he's saying that how can a child with that age bracket, how can he or she deal with bullying from the parents especially? But I want us to combine like 2 questions together.
Okay.
Hello to you. Good morning. Sorry, I didn't get the name. Oh, okay, Mrs. Shona, it's good to hear from you. Good morning. Please go ahead, talk to us.
Good morning.
Okay. It starts from phone. And people doesn't question their children. They've forgotten that this children will meet up with other people in your community. So that's what is happening with the school. When children are not being cautioned at home when bullying or the siblings. They don't really do it in another place. Like, I'm having that issue in my environment. I'm a teacher. There's a boy always beat someone in the class. By the time you look at him, you will wear his face. You will cover his face. So I'm like, how can we handle this when students are not doing the right thing at home? What can school do? I need answer.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. I think we should make do with those two first.
Okay.
And they're almost very related.
They're similar. Very
yes.
similar.
Yes.
Okay.
So please go ahead, Doctor.
So for the child who's between the age of 5 and 8 and is being bullied at home, verbal bullying and all that, like I said, I think of the small things I've said here, you will know that I grew up in a home very similar to that. And what helped me were two things. In the environment that I was living in, I grew up in Surulere in a house with like 6 or 7 flats. There was this young lady who's now in America now. She was a medical student in Unilag then, because we lived off Ishaga Road, so Idiaraba was just behind us.
Yeah.
So she came home and joined the SU movement, and so you're hearing negative things here, and she was constantly telling me positive things. So that helped. Then of course school. I had a teacher in primary 3 who I will continually talk about, Mrs. Obi, who gave me confidence and changed my trajectory from 15/20, that is 15th in the class of 20 people, to coming first to third, just because of a conversation of one teacher in one class. Now, so all I would say is, for the child who needs positive messages, in this age of the internet, there are quite a number of sources of positive image. So what I would say is, you should listen to people that speak positive things if you can find them. Then of course we need teachers to step in. We need the community to step in. We used to say before, it takes a village to raise a child. Unfortunately, the village has jackpot now. Everybody's on their own, minding their business, watching their phones, and things are decaying around you. And all of a sudden they are saying, Ijogba Adugbo today, you're scattered everywhere. The Adugbo did not raise Ijogba. And so Ijogba has decided to scatter what he likes because they didn't train him. So what we need to do, for instance, when I hear a bad word from my daughter, I know she heard it from somewhere else. So there are nieces of mine, nephews of mine who come to my house, and the first thing I tell them, mind the music you listen to in my house. Not because of me, I'm old, I can take care of myself. But my children are young, they're going to hear you. So when you hear, I need it, I know that somebody has been listening to last. I just know. And so we need to do better as a society. That's the truth. Then teachers are already overwhelmed. To the teacher that asked the question, it's hard. Because when we were talking to the teachers yesterday, in fact, one teacher got upset and said, no, this thing that they're saying is bullying, that he has a question. That how can you have a child whom you've asked to do something 8 times and the child has refused? And the school has a no beating policy. So the child knows you can't touch me. And so the child continues to manipulate the teacher. Like I said, Generation Alpha is different. Those ones are different. So what is that teacher supposed to do? We need to train teachers to understand that children are impressionable. As long as you keep telling them the right things, you think they are not listening. They are. You think they can't hear you. They are. But they will push your buttons and see how far they can push you till you say something bad. Then they'll say, see.
They pick up on
that. It don't finish. We said it. All of them, they are the same. So we need to keep the same thoughts.
Sorry, I think a call just came in. Hello.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
I don't like to shoot for each other.
Okay.
In that case, it's also like that. Like, a child has beaten another one.
Okay.
And don't beat down that.
Okay, that bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I totally agree with the fact that you shouldn't beat a child who beats another child. So what she's saying is that somebody bullies another person and you want to don't beat.
Okay.
Though I grew up in the streets where my mother would be like, if they beat you once, you must beat them 2 times. Now you don't come back until you've beaten them twice. But all I would say is, you don't beat the child because of another, but you punish that child. You take something away. So B.F. Skinner said punishment does not work. It doesn't help people learn.
Mm.
What helps people learn is what it calls reinforcement or rewards. Every child has something they like. Every child. You just need to know what it is, and the minute they misbehave, you take that thing away from them. So my child has been in school now for about 3-4 years, and the first teachers she had used to beat her, and the school had a no beating policy. And I told them the reason why. I asked one of the teachers, and she was like, the reason she beats her is because that this your daughter, the more you threaten her, the worse she gets. I said, she's sorry, ma. She got it from her father. I am the person whom, if you tell me don't jump, I will jump 10 times. But if you can find a better way of communicating what you want to my daughter, she gets it. So if she knows she can't manipulate you, and she knows you can't beat her, but that you understand her, and you, because what my daughter loves most, because she has exactly the same love language as her mother, is words of affirmation. The minute you praise her, she'll do 10 times than what you've asked for. Who is quite unlike her brother, who is a different being. And is different. When they give him assignment to do to A, he does to Z. If you don't allow him to do it to Z, he will scatter everywhere. So children are different, so the same style does not work for every child.
So teachers also need to
so
learn.
Teachers, if a teacher cannot study their students, they will fail at teaching. That's the truth. Because children are not the same. They were not raised in the same family. Even the same children in the same family are quite different. So you need to learn. That's why we said teaching is the most honorable profession. We will never be able to pay you enough. That's the truth. But you need to learn your students. You need to learn what works. You will experiment. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes it will fail. In my daughter's school, I can do shout out to Miss Glory. She had my daughter first, then she had my son. Now she's seen that they are totally different. They are like chalk and cheese. They don't agree on anything. In my house, they enter, fight starts. And what she has learned was what worked for my daughter does not work with my son. You can't praise my son and expect he won't do it. He does not care. It is what I am going to do. So they will allow him to do the assignment till Z, then they will erase it after he has gone. So he will come back and meet B the next day. Because if you don't allow him to do it, he just shuts down. He done of the hard life. So so what I would tell teachers is study your students as much as they study you, because they're studying you. Because in that same school that I went to yesterday, when they were introducing teachers, the maths teacher that someone said was bullying him or her was the one that got the loudest applause. Wow. Because the children know this is the guy that makes us do the work. Children know who is doing the work. So when they see a person who's trying to cut corners, they'll just figure you out and you'll be like, leave this one. It's soft. He doesn't know how to deal with us. But when they know that you will stand firm on the right thing, no matter what they say, they shout, they cry, they bring their parents, they report you, and you're still the same, they'll figure you out and you'll be like, okay, don't leave him. Just do the work. Do the assignments. Don't come and tell stories.
Okay. We will have to leave. Hello. Let's take this last call. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. We're still in the morning, actually. Mrs. Yusuf, please go ahead.
Okay, I greet our doctor then.
Good morning.
I just want to give some information. What of those our hip-hop musicians that use abusive language to save or some what is the government going to do about that one? And I remember when we were still when I was my grandma said,
Thank you. Doctor, I don't know if you have a response to that.
To the musicians, there are two things. As they say, it's business. If you don't sell, if you don't buy what they're selling, they will change. So you've heard musicians say, oh, this is what was raining. This is what was... Because if you check around, there was a time hip-hop and rap was what was selling in Nigeria. Then all of a sudden it stopped selling. So now Olamide sings. And I stopped rapping.
Exactly.
So the question is, society must tell ourselves the truth. We raise these boys. So what you can do for your child is screen your house.
Mm.
So there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you're going to do about this place.
Our time is fast spent. Hello.
Yes, I know.
Yes. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, like you have said, because the last caller, he has said 99% of what I want to say.
Okay.
See, as a parent, the child you bring to life, study them very well. Know the kind of love language they have. Know the kind of person is your child. So that in case when you have one or two things, you'll be able to defend them. That I know this child that I have. The lady, doctor said, has a similar thing as an adult, has the same traits with my own daughter. I've studied that, I know the kind of person she is. So it's more or less like an advice to every parents out there. Study your child, know who and what they want. And I have a neighbor, last 25 ago. See, this early in the morning, it's caused abuse of the children. If I try correcting the children, the parents will be like, did I send you a message? Don't correct my child. The same thing, they go to a government school whereby no can you know anything. So I discovered that these children, instead of us to get better, they are getting worse. And there's a limited thing of what I can do. So I just like, most times the father is not educated, I just like, sir, the way you guys are training this child, they will come out to be somebody like, they will just become bully. And they will be doing much more, they will think that it's a way of life. Because what they are learning from the parents also, the parents are bullying each other every other day. So it's just like an advice to all parents out there. Everything that is happening between a husband and wife, don't take it out on the children. Because if you want to fight, look for another place. Let's take the situation of the children so that they will not grow up and there's be this kind of bullying and everything, thinking that it's normal, it's a normal thing. I take it the way I drop it like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Larry. Dr. Adesoji, it's always phenomenal having conversations with you. I feel very relaxed and comfortable speaking with you. Now, you are the community, I am the community, we all form the community. What would be your parting words to the community as regards our conversation, bullying and mental health?
I think we must, as a society and as a community, admit to the fact that we have failed our children. We have not done as well as we could. And it had nothing to do with money. Rather, it had to do with the fact that we exchanged our values around the 80s, where we started celebrating money, we started celebrating power, we started celebrating just get it anyhow. And that's the reason why you have association of Yahoo mothers who pray for their Yahoo children to get magas. So as a community, we need to admit that we have failed. So as a community, we need to repent. Repenting is not a church word. It's just a word that says, okay, I'm turning back to where I was coming from. So Mr. Larry said something that he will try and correct the children. And let me say this. Children will always tell you that this was the person who told me truth when I was growing up. I didn't do it though. I didn't agree with everything he said. But this person always told me truth. So Mr. Larry, never stop talking about what the right thing is. And all of us as a society must always say, this is right, this is wrong. We must never be afraid to say it. That you eat 10 pieces of meat and your children don't eat meat and you are the father is evil. It's not wrong, it's evil. Because what you're basically telling the child is, when you two become a parent, you do exactly like I do. Eat 10 pieces of meat and do not eat. And do not give your children anything to eat. There's a book by an admiral in the US. He said, leaders eat last. And what that means is, until everybody is fed, the leader does not eat. And does not have a right to eat. That is how you know a leader. And we, as men and women in this community, must agree that we have failed and we must do better. We can start doing better today, not tomorrow. To just do better today. So you see that boy coming from school beating someone, you're an adult. Don't beat the boy, just stop them from fighting and tell the weaker one to go and hold the guy, the bully, and tell him, bros, you can't continue like this. Because when we look away, we're basically telling the guy it's okay. It's acceptable behavior. They were shocked when Agberos are beating people and we're like, kilo day now. It's the same culture and we need to do better. That's all I would say.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Adesoji Gbadebo. It's always nice having conversations with you. This is how far we can have it today on the issues. We all have a role to play as parents, teachers, whoever you are, we all have a role to play, because when you hear the word bullying, do not forget that it has a negative effect on our mental health, and that is why we had this conversation today. The issues will continue same time, same station tomorrow with Gift Ogbonna. My name is Opeyemi Adebambo signing out, and of course I wish you the very best in all of your endeavor. It's a bye for now.